We want to speak about writing the relation about the last experiment we performed in a laboratory. Um, as you know, you have to write the title and the other issue, the other topics on this form. You can write your name, classroom, and about the first paragraph, the first section, you have to about the argument concerning our experiment. I remember you that our experiment was about mechanics energy. So you have to write something about mechanics energy. Especially, in particular, you have to write about kinetics energy and about potential energy. Our experiment, with our experiment, we want to demonstrate that the gravitational potential energy that we have at the beginning of the phenomenon is converted internally in kinetics energy. Thus, at the end, the kinetic energy has the same value of the potential gravitational potential energy at the beginning of the experiment. So you have to write something about mechanical energy, potential energy, and kinetics energy. You can write the formulas. You can write what you mean when you speak about mechanics energy. We know that mechanics energy is the sum, the addition of potential energy and gravitational energy in the same time. Okay. In the second section, you have to draw a figure about the experiment. We remember that our experiment is about an object that moves on a inclinated plane. A situation similar we show in this figure. You have the motion in this direction S because the gravity acts on the object. The object has 4 wheels, so the frictions is practically zero. Okay, in this case we can try to experimentally demonstrate that the initial potential gravitational energy will be equal to final energy, or to kinetics energy that we have at the end of the experiment. I want to so you can check, you can get this figure and you can put here. Later you can write something about the different parts of this experimental apparatus. Okay. Okay. In this part we have to speak about instrument and material that we used during the experiment. For instance, we used an object with 4 wheels. We used a meter to measure the length of the motion, and to measure the height of the object at the beginning with respect to the final position. Also we used chronometer to measure the time between the initial position, or I mean the position at the beginning, and the final position when the object arrives in this final position. Okay, so you have to speak about this instrument and material. Here we have to describe, we have to speak about the sensitivity. For instance, the meter we used had a sensitivity of 1 millimeter, because it is the the smaller part we are able to measure with this instrument. Also we have to write something about the sensitivity of the chronometer. We know we use the chronometer with a sensitivity of 1 second, I mean 0.01 second, and we used an instrument to measure the mass of the object. In Italian bilancia, I don't know what is the English name. Bilancia our bilancia had a sensitivity of 1 gram, I mean 0.001 kilograms. Okay, now we have to describe the operations performed during the experiment. Okay, at the beginning we have an object that stay in a stable position here, but later it moves and we measure the time. The movement was similar to this one I show here. We repeated 16 times the measure of time with our chronometer. You have to write these things. Okay? Also, you have to write that we measured the length of the space, okay, and also we measured the height of the object at the beginning, and you have to write that we use the meter. Also, you have to write that we measured the mass of the object. You remember? We use the bilancia, in Italian bilancia. So, you have to write all the operation here. Here in the section. We measured the time, we 16 times, we measured the mass, the height of the object at the beginning, the length of the motion. Okay. Later you have to write the measures. You have to use the table with the data taken during our experiment. I mean, you have to put this table with the data. If you remember, we had an height of 0.0038 meter, a mass of 0.509 kilograms. I think a motion about 1.031 meter, and the time we obtained by using the chronometer. Later you have to determine the mean, or I mean the average of the times, and the maximum, but it is not very important in this state. Okay, later you have to perform the analysis of the data to obtain some final results. You have to determine the mean, the average of velocity with this formula, and later you can determine the final velocity, that in the uniformly accelerated motion the finally velocity is 2 times the mean, the average of velocity. Later you can determine the kinetic energy. So the value of the time you have to use it in this formula is the mean, the average of all the times. Okay, the space is this number, and now you have to determine the gravitational potential energy at the beginning. You know that this is the formula. Okay, so the value obtained out of a potential energy should be equal to the kinetic energy obtained at the finally position, but you will obtain probably that it is a little greater. Why? Because there is some friction. Okay, you have to discuss these things, this topic, at the end. You have to write about the initial potential energy was equal to the finally gravitational energy. No, why? Because there is some friction. Okay, well, you can try, don't worry.